You have to deliver high quality leads. You want to deliver high quality clients. And if marketing isn't the first step of sales, then what is it? What is it? Why are we doing it? The whole point is to close somebody. So why are we doing marketing? A lot of agencies are held at gunpoint because people expect marketing to be right the first time. And so people say to me, well, what are your guarantees? And I'm like, bro, imagine if I could guarantee to you, I'm going to make this work. I wouldn't be charging you this amount. I'd be charging you millions of dollars because I'm guaranteeing that your marketing's going to work. There's so many things at play and there's so many variables.
Who is this woman? How did she get on Perpetual Traffic? How did Qasim discover her? So today's show it has a guest where we're going to be talking about the thing that I think is the core of all things marketing, all things business. It's a big promise, Qasim, but it's all about offers. You heard about those things? Hormozi wrote a book about it. Dice talks about it. Some guy named Hormozi, big beard. You know,
not ringing a bell.
Not ringing a bell.
No.
Never heard of him. But our guest today is actually going to show really how it's done. And I think that Hormozi got his ideas from her. I think that's really how it kind of worked.
Yeah.
So pretty excited to have Alicia Conlin-Hurd on Perpetual Traffic this week. Welcome to PT, Alicia.
Thank you. What an amazing intro. My favorite one ever. And thank you, Qasim, for plucking me out of the wasteland that is Australia and allowing me to have this life that I now have. So I'm forever in your debt.
You're welcome. I saved you.
Yeah,
really.
you
I know
did.
that now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a program we're going to launch. It's an Adopt an Aussie. And for less than the price of coffee, you too can save someone from the Australian outback.
She was like living in a tent in the middle of the outback.
Being attacked by kangaroos. And I know, have you seen that video of the kangaroo like holding the dog hostage and the guy?
Yep.
Yeah, that happens on a daily basis. Like it's an epidemic.
They're at my door right
Big
now.
snakes.
I can see them. Yeah. Luckily, the foundation that Qasim started, I've actually got walls now, so they're kept out. But before that, no.
No,
you would have been eaten alive.
Yeah.
You would have been eaten back in the days before Qasim discovered you. So that's great. Well, no, we're
gonna get so much Australian hate mail now.
I know. It's like there goes our ratings in Australia, right down the shitter. You know,
we actually rank really well in Australia. Have you seen that in Chartable?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, I don't understand why they like us there. They really shouldn't.
You know what it is, dude? It's the Aussies are no bullshit, and so are we.
Is that it?
I think so. I'm going to tell myself that.
Well, we've got a no bullshit Aussie today as our guest. And
is Aussie a pejorative, by the way? Are we allowed to say that? Is that just your word?
No, it's okay. We let others say it as well. You're allowed.
That's good. Because there are a couple. Yeah, we just have to be careful. You never know.
No, it's fine. Yeah. I'll allow it.
We just don't say it right. I think.
Yeah,
we just say it with a nasally American accent. So, well, anyway, you're going to get your fill of Aussie accent here today on Perpetual Traffic, talking about the most important thing in marketing.
You should have subtitles.
Yeah, we might actually.
On the YouTube.
You know what we should do is we should throw this into HeyGen so that she sounds like an American or like a Southern.
You want me to do my American accent? I can talk in your language.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
Do you understand me now, sweetheart? Is that better? Okay.
You're from Louisiana.
I don't know.
That's right.
I'm from America. Yeah. Just all around.
Melbourne, Louisiana.
Louisiana.
We're going to get into today's episode and actually talk about something meaningful. And I highly recommend that you head over to our YouTube channel, perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. Alicia is going to be getting into a little bit of her traffic and conversion summit talk, which I thought was amazing. Probably not the whole thing here, but you definitely want to tune into our YouTube channel to see that live and talk about how she's able to craft offers, sometimes out of thin air. Apparently people like just come to you with no idea of business and just want you to do it all. That's not what we're going to be talking about today, but how to craft offers that actually really sell. Crack-like offers or crack-a-lacka offers, Qasim? We're not really sure. Crack-a-lacka offers. Yeah. We're going to get into that right after this quick break. All right, we are back with Alicia Conlin-Hurd. I want to say Conlin-Hurd, but it's Conlin-Hurd, Qasim. Just don't make that mistake because you're going to be doing the introduction. Like, who is this woman? How did she get on Perpetual Traffic? And how did Cosm discover her? So I'd love to know all of that here before we get into the real good stuff with crack-a-lacka, crack-like offers.
Yeah, Alicia was introduced by a mutual friend, Michael Nadlin, who's also worth looking up. He's a thought leader in the traffic space, sharp cat. And I had her on my YouTube channel, and she did a live teardown on my website. You can see that video on my YouTube channel. Just go look at the solutions at YouTube. Look for Alicia Conlin-Hurd, and she ripped us apart. She was just told me all the ways that I'm stupid and things that I can prove upon, which I really appreciated. Like, I don't know. She could have held back, and I imagine she did just a little bit, but it was a big learning experience, and it was a tough spot because I put her on the spot. I was like, all right, you're good at CRO, prove it. And she crushed it. And then from there, I've just always been a fan. And anytime, especially the on-site stuff comes up, I generally bring her up. And then all of a sudden I turned around and she'd turned famous. And she was a MC at Traffic and Conversion, and she had a really good, well-reviewed talk, and everybody loved her. And I don't know. I was like, wait a minute. I found Alicia. I want all the credit for this. And then Ralph, because you found me, we decided that you're basically the grandfather. And Ryan Dice is the great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather.
And then whoever found Ryan Dice, who would that be? Is that Perry Belcher?
No, that would probably be like Dan Kennedy.
Okay.
So yeah. Great-great-grandfather.
And there we've identified
God.
Yeah. Dan begat Ryan, Ryan begat Ralph, Ralph begat, et cetera, et cetera. So here we are. But Alicia's the co-founder of Persuasion Experience, which is worth looking into. The joke that Ralph and I make all the time is you don't have a traffic problem. You have an everything else problem. And Persuasion Experience helps with the everything else. And they do it really well. We've been able to work alongside each other in some varying degrees. And I'm a Alicia Conlin-Hurd fan. And I have a feeling that if you're listening to this episode, you're going to take a lot away from it. How did I do, Alicia? Anything that I missed that you'd want to buttress or add?
No,
Scaffold?
I love my lineage. How good that my great-great-great-grandfather is Dan Kennedy. That makes me happy. Great. Yeah. You didn't miss anything. Nailed it.
Awesome.
I think you got the tree right there.
Yeah. Well, now the bar's set high too, so the listeners are like, all right, let's see.
Great.
Let's see if
Alicia, Dan. Sure, go take it away. Yeah.
So when it comes to offers, what makes a great offer? You've seen a lot of probably crappy ones. You've helped augment good ones and turn them into great ones. But what is it sort of at the core of it? And I know that was a big part of your TNC presentation, which not a lot of people, I think they get caught up in the other logistics of marketing and they sort of forget that core thing. And it's oftentimes the thing that, running an agency myself, offers have usually a life cycle, and then you need to move on or either change it up, edit it, add something new to it. And one offer I've rarely seen last into perpetuity. So what constitutes a great offer?
And I'm going to zoom out. What is an offer? Because I think a lot of people, it's like, what dat? They send traffic and they're like, okay, click my call to action if they have one. So zooming out, your offer is all of the different components of a funnel. But a funnel is not optional, right? A funnel's just every single touch point that somebody has with your business. That's how we think about it. So a lot of people think their funnel is Russell Brunson, internet marketer. That's optional. I don't need that. But actually, it's just every touch point post-click. Now, what is an offer? An offer is what you put in front of somebody to persuade and motivate them to take the next step with your business. So throughout your funnel, you have different offers, right? And when we create this funnel, we're not looking for a big knockout punch. Yes. Hey, nice to meet you, club you over the head, drag you back to my business and make you sign up. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a series of micro yeses. So the 3 core offers in these funnels, or your series of micro yeses as it pertains to lead generation especially, is you have an authority beacon. That's just my fancy name for a lead magnet done properly because you got to name shit. So you have an authority beacon, then you have your lead generation offer, and then you have a sales offer. And they each have a different purpose. Everything has a different point. The traffic gets the click, and then each of these offers take the next micro yes with your business. So I know that's the monologue no one asked for, but that is hopefully more context around what actually is an offer when I'm talking about it.
So one leads to
Yes.
the next, leads to the next. I love the idea of a series of micro
Yes.
yeses, which one of the things that, personally for me, like drew me to marketing. The reason why after 20 years in sales, I went into the marketing profession is because sales was just an extension really of marketing. It was influence. It was how you get as many yeses to ultimately to get the sale. And then that was like the thing that paid the bills, made me excited. And then marketing is just sort of on a much larger scope, less individual, one-on-one, to the masses. But then it's the same thing as sales. It's a series of micro yes. Yes, that makes sense. I'll go to the next step. Yes, that makes sense. I'll go to the next step. And I think that tie-in is not something that people really think about. They think about just the big yes, which is the purchase or the thing at the end, or, as Dice says, the core offer, or whatever term you want to put on it. But that's not really, that is an offer, but a lot of offers have to happen before that. The argument could be made, like, you need to be able to, you provide a lot of content. We'll leave links in the show notes. Alicia has an awesome YouTube channel. Like all of those, if you watch more of a video, that's a yes. Like all of those things lead ultimately to the next step. So I love the idea of a series of micro yeses. It makes total sense.
Yeah, and I agree with you. This is, and this is what a lot of marketers probably don't get, but the selling starts in the marketing. And it's not compartmentalized, right? The whole idea of your marketing is that the sales is superfluous, meaning it's unnecessary. There's no selling. It just, people are predetermined. They come to you, they're ready to buy because you've had that series of micro yeses. So by the time they're hearing the sales offer, they're ready. They are ready. It's not a hardcore close. And so I do believe, because my background is in cold calling and telco sales and agency sales. So I do believe that the best marketers are ex-salespeople because it's the same psychology. It's just persuasion, right? It's all the same thing.
I just want to meditate on what you just said for a moment because I think that's really, really interesting. The whole point of marketing is to make sales superfluous. Now, first of all, I can imagine a bunch of salespeople hearing that and being pissed off. But man, what an amazing paradigm shift that is. Because if that were true, and I really like it, so I'm not challenging it. But if that were true, I think it would change the way so many of us market. Instead of just attention grabbing, it moves marketing into things like expectation management and greater degrees of user understanding, and like it changes the narrative entirely. It's not just about the broadest reach. It's now also about education.
Exactly. And so when we work with our clients, for example, they don't want leads, they want buyers. It's very easy to clock up the score and get them leads. Like I can get someone to submit a form. That's not what they want. They want, as my American clients say, Benjamins in the bank, right? Like they want Benjamins, Alicia. That's what I want. Yeah, I'm on it. But
please tell me nobody's ever said that. What an obnoxious person to work with. All I want
Which Americans have you been talking to?
And so, yeah, it's like you have to deliver high quality leads. You want to deliver high quality clients. And if marketing isn't the first step of sales, then what is it? Why are we doing it? What's the point? The whole point is to close somebody. So why are we doing marketing?
I remember this was always a debate, like way back. Like I'm going to date myself.
1992. Sorry, Ralph.
Way back in 2009.
4 pandemics ago.
Let me tell you.
Sorry, Ralph.
This was a huge debate. I remember this was like a social media marketing versus digital marketer debate. And I remember talking to Ryan about this, and he said that goal is not to just get a bunch of leads or people to follow you. The goal is like, it's so simple. This is the reason why I became a Ryan Dice fan. It's like that's all a precursor to them actually saying yes to buy something from you. Your goal is not likes and shares and comments. Like we were talking about this before we hit record. Who cares about a video that gets 1 million views if it doesn't sell anything? Like the goal, like you've got hundreds, if not maybe even thousands. I haven't counted, but you've got a lot of videos. Like, you're not doing those for your health. You're doing them obviously to educate people and to, I mean, there is a certain element of, yes, we educate because, we like to build authority and all these other sorts of things, ego gratification, but that's not really the reason. The reason is to ultimately sell a product or service that in your heart of hearts that if they buy it, they will be better off as a result of it. So if you get a video that's 200 views and half of those people are your ideal customer profile, maybe one or two of them fills out an application, like that's a more successful video than a 1 million view video that gets you nothing except ego.
It's we call it optimizing for the ego, right? And so what a lot of people, as a quick tangent on content, it's called content with intent. What's your intention? Because I know because I'm in the little LinkedIn scene, I'm on there sharing my wares, but I know that there's people with huge followings, huge, hundreds of thousands, and they can't monetize it. Like, that's not what you want. You don't want a bunch of fans. You want followers, and you want to know how to actually convert and monetize the attention. And that, my friends, is where good offers comes in.
So talk to us about, and maybe this is the screen share time, like maybe just some examples of like
good offers,
ways in which you've been able to optimize good offers, turn them into great offers, how that process sort of has gone on, maybe with some specifics here.
Yes, sir. Okay. Everyone can see my screen.
Oh my, presentation.
I know.
already.
This is from my little keynote, Richard Branson, Damon John, me, all keynoting, BFFs. So this one in particular, this is a good story. Now, when we're creating an offer, there's stages, right? And there's stages to everything in marketing. So if your marketing's not working, I know you've cooked one of these stages: research, strategy, execution, optimization. And so what do most people not do? No one does the research. It's unsexy. No one likes it. It takes time. But marketing is inputs and outputs. Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out. And so what most people do is they skip to execution. They don't even do the strategy. They just start making a landing page. What are you making your landing page on? So I'll show you this example and I'll talk about those stages. So for example, this is one of our clients, a luxury home builder, remodeler out of Dallas, Texas, Build TX. They do beautiful work. You can check them out on Instagram. And so when we were doing her offer and her new landing page, we started doing research on the target market and the competitors. And some of the things that we found were, one, the market were all women who wanted to stay in their homes. So women, remember that. Number two was that most of the competitors, the next micro step that they were putting out there was to get a free quote. But what was happening with these women is that they were building these mood boards on Pinterest and on Instagram, and they didn't really know what they wanted yet. They needed help with the design. And so what we did then was, instead of, and actually the last thing that is in this market that is relevant from the research is that there's horror stories. So either everybody that they knew has had a horror story with a builder where it's gone bad and the builders ripped them off and they've had a bad time. So we knew all of this. So now we can start to do the positioning and talking in the language of the target market. But the way that we created the offer was, okay, well, the next micro step is not a quote. How can you get a quote on something that you don't know what you want? So then we started to think selling sunset, blah, 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 champagne. And so the offer was, apply for your champagne design consultation with Dallas's top remodeling and additions firm. That was the next micro step. The next step was not a boring quote with some male, like testosterone fueled, boring marketing. It was, have a sexy champagne design consultation with our team of women and come in with your Pinterest board and we'll figure out how to build you the home of your dreams. So that's one offer. That's an example.
I was curious and like where you got some of the language for that. Like, where did champagne design consultation come from? And I mean, because I think we have to deconstruct this a bit before we go on to the next one. But like that right there, was that through research? Was that through your avatar, what they said? Was that just something that came to you, in the shower and said, that's it?
Shower thoughts. They are my best thoughts. And that's the thing about marketing, right? It's an art and a science. And so I have templates and I can give people templates of our offer templates, but you still need the art side of it. And so it came from it just literally was like, me and my co-founder, we were like, you know what chicks love? Selling sunset. You know what else chicks love? Champagne. And then we were like, let's do, like, how can we make this exciting? And we're like, well, everything else is a boring free quote if the competitors even have a clear call to action or offer. I would use that term loosely. And so it was just understanding the market and getting obsessed with the market and thinking, what is something really exciting that we could put in front of them that if they were trying to feed their kids at night or they were laying in bed and they didn't take it up, they'd like wake up in a cold sweat and think, shit, I should have done that. Like, why didn't I take that up? And that's the feeling we want to have with our offers.
I feel like that brainstorm meeting could go horribly wrong, depending on who's in the room, right? You know what chicks love?
And how much champagne is drank.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
You know what chicks dig? Yeah, and I know because I'm a chick, so chicks dig things.
I guess that's what you need is you need somebody who really understands the avatar.
But I think think about the average offer in this market. And I know we have people who listen to this show that if you just implement something similar to this will change the trajectory of your business. Like get your free quote would be like the typical call to action, correct? Like that's what it was, or not even a consultation. It was like a quote, but like, what am I quoting? Because I don't even know what I want yet. And that idea right there is the key to a great offer because you've done the research on the avatar and what their problem is. Their problem is, they can get quotes anywhere, but then once they get a quote, what does that mean? I don't even know what my kitchen is going to look like. So I need a consultation to be able to visualize what it could be. And then therefore that's your first micro yes. And then your second yes after that. I don't really know what the funnel is, but having bought a few kitchens in my day, I know they're very, very expensive. Then it's all right, well, what's it going to cost? And then maybe I'll shop that design around to a couple of different firms. But that's a huge part to an offer, which people forget. It's like, what is the barrier? What's the pain point that's maybe just below the surface that you can provide a solution for that gets them to that next step?
Exactly. It's and what's like a good actionable thing from this topic so far? Just think when you're because it depends on the temperature of traffic and the stage of the buyer's journey. That's what we're talking about here to start putting labels of it. So temperature of traffic, meaning if it's social media traffic versus if it's on your email list or on Google actively looking for you, that's a different bullseye of the market. We're entering a different conversation, which means we put a different offer in front of them, right? And so all you're thinking is based on that temperature of traffic, based on that stage of the buyer's journey. And if you've never mapped it out, go and look up Eugene Schwartz's 5 stages of awareness and then map it out for your target market. It's like, okay, what's their next step? What do they need to do next? What are they looking for help with? And how can I show them that they're going to get value from this, whether they go ahead with me or not? And when you can do that, you will have a good offer, kind of. It'll be better than what you have now, at least.
So what's another example here? This is a really good one. Super high ticket, obviously. A kitchen could be anywhere from 25,000 to a couple 100,000, depending on where they're at. Like that's very, very high ticket. Really understanding your avatar, understanding what that barrier is to the next step. What else do you have as far as offer augmentation?
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Here's something I prepared earlier. So we'll just look out. Little callback to infomercials. But this client in the finance space, right, wouldn't give us any extra budget. Fine. And same traffic spend, new landing page and offer. The one that I showed you before is a brand new offer. I could go crazy wild and create a new offer. Finance, no bueno. I couldn't just be like, how come in for champagne and woohoo, let's talk about your business loans. That's not going to fly. So we're going to change gears a little bit. But what we are going to do here is reposition the value of the offer. Remembering that when somebody lands on your landing page, we're all thinking this. No one's like holier than thou. This is what we're all thinking. So what? Who cares? What's in it for me? Yeah. And they land here. And so the old page was this. It's about invoice finance. And so apply now, boring. The conversion rate was 5.61%, CPA $700. That's not that bad. Like other media buyers would keep sending traffic, and there's just nothing to write home about. So all we did was we spoke to the sales team, because this is one of the ways that you can do research. We're like, what do people want? And they're like, oh, they want 100% of their unpaid invoices funded in 7 days. I'm like, okay, cool. What's annoying to them? And they're like, oh, they're chasing late payments all the time. I'm like, okay, cool. What else? And they're like, oh, they want to fix cash flow gaps. Okay, great. And so I just took that information plus some others. We put it above the fold on the landing page, put a nice smiley, happy woman, and then we increased the conversion rate by 200%. We're not changing the offer. We're changing the perceived value. We're changing the positioning. We're answering what's in it for me. In copywriting, it's called connecting the chain of logic, right? So not just dumping down big fat features and benefits, but contextualizing those benefits. How is it going to make their life easier? And this goes to a crazy long form. Nothing else changed, right? And so instead of just apply now, it's apply today and get your pre-approval in 24 hours. Yeah, see the difference? Now that's what we're doing. The offer is what they're going to get. The call to action is what they need to do to get it. And that's the difference on this one. And not only the conversion rate, but the CPA came down. I think the CPA has actually come down since I made this as well. And that's how you make your economics work in your marketing.
This points to, I think, a problem that so many businesses have, which is they assume too much. They assume their customer, like, they don't list on the site clearly, this is what we do, this is who we do it for, this is how we do it. And in some cases, you actually, and I've done this personally, you feel like the assumption is safe. It's like, well, everybody knows what a media buyer is. If you're shopping for a media buyer, you know what I mean? But the answer is no, that's not necessarily true. A fun story that I have is I owned a Google Ads agency for 2 years before I heard or understood the term media buyer. So the primary naming convention offered to my industry by most enterprise customers, because I was never an enterprise customer, I'd never heard and I didn't know what it was. And so if I hadn't heard that, how could my customer possibly? And so I think like just the clarity that you're providing here and managing some of these offers makes all the sense in the world. And, it's like the grandma test. Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast, go get the closest grandma to you and put her in front of your website and see if she can figure out what it is that you offer. And if she can't, it's not her fault. You're the dummy.
I'm imagining the news headlines like breakouts of grandma snatching happening, making people just grabbing grandmas from get in here and look at my website.
I didn't say kidnap the grandma.
No,
just
you
for
said grab the nearest
purpose.
grandma. That's ambiguous. It's recorded. But
you're right. I need to make sure that perpetual traffic does not condone the kidnapping of grandmothers.
Make sure it's one that knows you.
Yeah.
You need to get the closest consensual grandma.
That's better. See, I've dealt with compliance in my time. I've dealt with I call them the gargoyles. They castrate my pages, but I know that they wouldn't let you say that. Anyway, and your landing page is your digital salesperson. That's how I think of them. And so for a lot of the companies we work with, because we specialize in lead gen, it's actually a digital appointment setter. So would you like highly qualified, pre-frame, educated leads, or would you like people who randomly filled in a form and didn't really know what they were doing? Because it's very easy for me to do that. And that's the thing. We're not optimizing for more conversions on an opt-in page or a landing page. Your North Star metric is buyers, always. We have campaigns that convert lower, but they make more money. And we'll keep a mixture of campaigns, but we're not optimizing. This is great, but just so everyone knows, it resulted in more moolah. Like it made more money for the client. That's the whole point. And more Benjamins. And
more Benjis.
Benji's in the bank.
Yeah. I noticed that Alicia was on your form, because you've got a form that you link to from your YouTube channel for somebody to fill out if they want a what is it, like a consultation, your Calendly form. And the thing that I thought was really interesting about it is it's a no bullshit
do you want me to show it on the screen?
Like to get on your calendar is, I think I counted like 18 form fields or something crazy.
Yeah, because I don't want to talk to non-buyers. And Like that's
Yeah. Well, that's what everybody's
Yeah.
afraid of, right? Is they don't want to push people
No, I
away, and
do.
so they just ask for name, phone, or email. But yeah, so wait, take us to the next page. Here.
And this is the thing, right? In lead generation, there's two levers. There's quality and there's quantity. I don't need quantity. I do founder-led sales. I don't want 10 appointments booked into my calendar every single day. I want the right ones. So these are the questions: name, email, what's your paid ads budget per month? And then based on these questions, I probably cancel 30 to 50% of people who book in.
Do you really? So you just cancel the message and say what?
I give them a lot of value, but if I can't help them, why would I? Like, that's a waste of both of our time. So I say something like, "Hey Amanda, appreciate you booking in a time with me. I've gone through your application," because that's what this is. It's applying, and I don't believe we're a good fit for these reasons. However, based on your application, here's what I think will be really helpful. And then I'll usually point them to a video that I have on my YouTube and one of our digital products, like our $17 offer creation program, because they're not actually ready for an agency. I can tell based on their answers. It's not the right time to invest with me. Or because I love money for nothing, if they are ready for an agency but not a good fit for me, I'll refer them to one of my agency partners who take on smaller accounts. But yeah, this is it. And it would deter a lot of people, but the people who fill this in, they are what? They're buyers. Yeah, boy. So that's
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. If I were a Looky Loo and I was just trying to burn time, or sometimes I'll have my EA go through and research something, and he'll schedule appointments with the 15 top whatever, just to get kind of a sense as to how they do their business. This would be one that he skips, which is smart on your behalf.
Yeah, and it might change one day, but it's like, what are we optimizing for? I'm not a big volume agency. I take on 2 to 4 clients a month. I personally work with them all. We're not like a big bad marketing, or probably like not as big as like Solutions 8. You guys had a huge team. We're very much about having a lifestyle business where I work with clients that I like, that I handpick, and that's it. So I don't need volume leads. I need quality.
I didn't mean to derail, but I appreciate you going through that, because I think that's super important, and it spoke to what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity. On this example here, and this is a finance example. So I noticed first off in their previous page, their legacy page, they have 2 calls to action, which is like sort of a mind bender unto itself. Apply now or learn more. Like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. So, but tell me, like, what kind of traffic was being sent to this? Is this high intent search based traffic? Is this something from a Facebook ad? Like, give us a little bit of an idea, because this is a huge lift. This is a 3x lift in conversion rate. This is a massive
this is Google Ads. And then we did the same thing. If it's like there's trade finance, there's different types of finance. So people who are specifically looking for this type of finance are highly educated, because not everybody in the buyer's journey has identified the type of finance they need. We've done the same for top of the funnel, like B2B loans and stuff, but that's very competitive. You're going up against the big banks as well. So these pages get a buttload of traffic on Google, high intent, actively searching for the type of finance that they want.
Got it. And just to reiterate, for maybe somebody who didn't or missed the key component here, your headlines, sub-headlines, pre-headlines all came from talking to the salespeople.
Yeah.
Correct? Which is obviously a form of market research. Ask yourself, if you're a business owner right now, how many times have you talked to your salespeople to get your marketing message? Chances are very few of you have. Yeah. So that unto itself is
I try to never talk to my salespeople.
I can't stop talking to him. He's going to listen to this and be pissed now. But no, that's a great example. So we've got one for sort of very high ticket. I mean, we've got this one here, which is highly competitive Google search. I didn't ask you about the traffic that was being sent to the Dallas kitchen remodel. Was that search
Surprisingly,
as well?
that was Facebook. So, and it was no lead magnet straight to the landing page, because they had such a huge following, huge on their personal brand and business brand. We could build a good audience on Facebook. So yeah, Facebook and I should say Meta. Do you want another one?
Meta.
You want to see another one? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do one more. These are
Well,
great.
I've got more.
More? There's
Feed me.
more?
Okay, I'll show you this one. This one's in the health space. And in Australia, there's something called the NDIS. I don't know what's the equivalent, but it's like government packages for if you have disabilities, or there's for elderly. This is for home care packages specifically. And we're working within some business constraints because this is a big business, like eight figures, high eight figures. So a little bit different to the home builder who was a bit smaller. And for this client, they want Calendly bookings in a boomer market. And so we have improved their conversions, and that's been great. We've taken their landing page from, they were sending it to their website, their homepage, which was about 1%. And now on some of our Google Ads campaigns, we're up to 8 to 10%, which is crazy. But what I want to show you on this is the funnel that we built around it. So yes, with their calendar, this is like October last year when I last got the data, but 160 leads in October, their CPL 130 to 200, and it's down depending on the campaign. Great, they're happy. But there's people earlier in the buyer's journey who are very much not ready to commit to a calendar booking, right? So how do we bring them into our ecosystem? It's an ebook, and a lead magnet does not equal an ebook, but it does for this. And here it is: 5 warning signs you're losing funds with your home care package. This is an offer. This is the Authority Beacon offer. This goes on an opt-in page. Now, this got 831 leads, and I know, I know, they're not the same leads. We all know that, right? But on this opt-in page, there's a phone number so their sales team can call. And I don't always do that with clients because I prefer not to, but they had a hungry sales team who needed more leads. So these are $5.08 a lead. Cool. They can call them. But here's the kicker, right? If only 5% of these people come through and we convert them with the funnel, that's $100 per booked call. So even if we only convert a very, 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 very small amount with a funnel, all of these leads, we've built a list, and now they can nurture those leads and build the relationship and bring them down the buyer's journey. But 2, we're getting cheaper call bookings as well when we track the metrics down the funnel.
Well, so you said do you know what the percentage of book calls is?
So yeah, when I did this was more of like an estimate based on my experience. I do for this client, I'd need the data in front of me, but for any of our clients from a landing page, and this is hard because it goes over time, right? Like these people that we capture at top of funnel can convert in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So there's always like a tail end on it, which often depends on like the lead to sales time and the length of the buyer's journey.
Sure. Well, I'm not trying to play gotcha journalism because 5% feels like a very, very, very reasonable number. I was just curious as to whether or not that's something that had ultimately been tracked. Because to the point that you're making, it feels like, you could get maybe half of those people on the phone at some
Absolutely. Point. And that's something that we'll just track over time because you don't get that data straight away. And that's what I say to the client. It's like the ebook lead isn't going to some of them will. Some of them will be hyperactive, usually about 3%. Will be hyperactive and we can get them within the first month. But a lot of them, you just didn't have that. You didn't have the lead captured before. You couldn't build a relationship. And now we've taken them off somebody else's platform that we didn't own. Now they're on the list and they're nurturing them. And now people are replying to the emails that go out weekly and in their email marketing and going, oh yeah, I need help. But they didn't have that person before. And so now they can build that relationship.
So it's a longer term nurture. And as far as like them converting in October, and here we are in February. And obviously there's no specific time frame, but it could be a month, it could be a week, it could be years.
And this is the thing that sometimes I got to shake my clients. But this is how I describe it. In lead generation, there's 2 things. Like come to me with me to the farm. There's harvesting for now, and there's planting seeds for later. Most companies only focus on harvesting for now. What can I get now? What's ready now? Cutting down trees. They are never, ever, ever planting seeds for later. And what does this mean? We're building pipeline. But nobody...
what a great analogy that is.
They're just like, as soon as something sprouts, they're like, gimme. give me that. And they're ripping it out of the ground and they're never replanting. Yeah. This is me replanting. This is me building pipeline. This is me planting seeds for later. So yes, of course, we have the campaigns that are scooping up, harvesting. Everything that's ready now, we're harvesting the crops. But if we're not planting stuff for the future, that's not how you build a good business. And so, as you can imagine, I need the right type of client who appreciates that and understands that, because you've got to understand business to know that that's important. And not every business has the patience or understands that that's how you actually build a business. This is an asset that compounds over time.
So you are an agency and you also sell a fair amount of information products to educate these people. Those people, like, you're farming, you're I hate the expression. I don't know where this comes from. You're eating your own dog food, which basically means you're preaching this and you actually do it in American. I don't know why we say that, but anyway, we say it. But the point is you do both. And on the agency side, there's a lot of clients that need offers. There's a lot of clients that have offers that maybe worked. Back in, I hear this all the time. Back in 2019, back in 2018, we were killing it on Facebook. And now we can't. Or 2020, or like, name your date. So talk to me about like some of maybe the fails that you've had.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the client that you took on and you're like, I think I can really work with them, but then it just doesn't work out. What was lacking? And it's okay to blame the client, because sometimes the client is responsible. It's a two-way street here, right? Because they have to be open to your suggestions. Let's talk about maybe some of those things. And then people learn more from failures than they do from their successes in a lot of cases. So.
Marketing's a humbling sport, right? It's a very humbling sport.
It's the most profound thing anybody said today.
And yes. I'm very good. I've done this 600 times. More than 600 times. That's just like what I've counted. I built the team at King Kong from scratch. I built the sales funnels. I built it at Founder. I've done Brazilian butt lift doctors, porn addiction counselors. Linktree's one of our clients, Kogan. I've done it a lot and I still fail. But I always know why I've failed, and it's because I've mucked up one of those phases: research, strategy, execution. And now that I have that framework, because I've failed epically so many times, I can just go back and think, okay, was my research wrong? Was my strategy wrong? Or did I cook the execution? So just so everybody knows, that's what you can learn from my failures. More specifically, oh my God, we don't even have the time, but what's the reason? Of course, because marketing is iterative. And so recently we launched a client's campaign in the video production space, and my call as the strategist was to go niche on corporate video, and with their budget, it was stupid. There wasn't enough clicks. We weren't getting enough data. And the page was great, but now we're going broader on video production and testing the campaign. What else? What other dumb stuff have I done? I split tests because we run CRO for our clients. I choose a split test and that doesn't work. And it's fine because it's iterative. And I always just make sure that when I do fail, I learn from it. That's it. There's no failures if the only failure is not learning from it. And that's what I think a lot of poor client-side marketing managers and a lot of agencies are held at gunpoint, because people expect marketing to be right the first time. And so people say to me, well, what are your guarantees? And I'm like, bro, imagine if I could guarantee to you I'm gonna make this work. I wouldn't be charging you this amount. I'd be charging you millions of dollars, because I'm guaranteeing that your marketing's gonna work. There's so many things at play and there's so many variables, and it's okay. I am a failure and I fail every day. Of course I do. That's how you learn.
Yeah. It's great because I think we've all dealt with those customers or clients or whatever.
What's interesting about those clients is they put themselves at such a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because, even if you're dealing with a really good marketer, if you bring them in and you force them to only work on the things that they know can yield returns, it's a very, 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 very narrow window they're working
exactly.
within. And there are those things that you can be really confident about, especially if you have experience in that specific industry, but there's no room for experimentation, and that's where all the magic is in marketing.
Exactly. And so one of the things, because I qualify hard, you've seen the form, then in my proposal, there's a slide that says, here's 6 reasons why you shouldn't work with me. And
I have that on my website, why you shouldn't work with Solutions 8.
And one of them is you want a waitress, not a strategist. And it says, if you want to come in and tell me how to do marketing, do not pay me a cent, because I'm like, if you knew it, you would be doing it. And so we're partners. Like, I trust my client. They have wonderful ideas and dumb ideas. So do I. But they're the industry matter expert, and I trust them for that. Explicitly, I trust them for that. But I don't trust them on like, if the research is telling me one thing, I trust that because I haven't drunk the Kool-Aid about their company. The stuff they want to talk about is this. They've got the curse of knowledge, right? They want to talk about dumb shit no one cares about, as I tell them. It's like, no one cares about that in your marketing. This is what we're going to do. So we're your strategist, not your waitress.
That's great. And even if you nail the research, strategy, execution, and you hit on all of those,
right?
I think what a lot of clients don't understand is you still have maybe a 1 in 5 hit rate. Is what we've said many, many times. Like, so if you're 2 out of 10, you're doing well. 3 out of 10, you're like Hall of Fame. It's like, that still means that you're going to fail 7 times. It's a baseball analogy. But the point is that
Ralph explained the sports analogy, Alicia, for my benefit, not for yours.
I'm glazing over. I'm looking at the birds.
Baseball,
I'm like, yes, sport.
It's a bat with a ball, similar to cricket, but not really. You lost
me more at cricket.
Funnier hats. Yeah, they wear a glove so it doesn't hurt their little delicate hands. So I mean, but the point is like, even if you do everything right, there's still a high degree of failure. Like, if you skip one of those steps or don't do as much research as you know that you should be doing, which AI helps a lot with now, and we certainly do that on our end, but sometimes it just misses the mark. It's like we might come out with 5 or 6 different overall messaging, not even ads, but just like messaging themes. And only one out of those 5 might even get any sort of resonance. And it's like, damn. But I mean, thankfully it doesn't happen that often, but that's about the average. It's about 1 in 5. And like the other ones, you just sort of throw aside and you learn from them and you iterate and then you move on from there. So even if you do it right, I think there's a high degree of failure. Last question for you is, when you have an offer and then it's suddenly like you've figured out like how it works, like this one that we're seeing here on perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube, as well as the 2 previous examples. Those are ones that are working. Do you find that the market tires and then you have to go back to the well often? I guess it sort of depends on what type of traffic. One of the reasons why I was asking you is like, is that some of that search, is some of that, paid social, where it's more interruption marketing, like the lifespan of an offer itself? How often do you feel it needs to be resuscitated or like refreshed in a lot of
I'll
ways?
give you the most annoying marketer answer ever. It depends. It depends. But our goal is...
I will not accept
again,
that, because that's my answer.
So let me elaborate. It depends, but our goal is always to make an evergreen offer. Evergreen meaning it should just last as long as possible. So I've launched offers back in the day when I was at King Kong that I know companies are still running. I see them still running it. And that's years. Yeah. I launch offers in some markets and they just dry up, and then sometimes it's not creating a new one, it's just repositioning the offer. Usually the offer is always the same. It's the thing you do, right? It's just how you explain it. And so you should always be testing it. My thing is, change your offer, change your business. You should don't just set out an offer and then maybe not test it. The caveat to that is, don't just launch a new offer if you've got something working. So you can test new offers, but treat it like an NBA team, boys, sport. Ooh, so we have one really good player and we're not going to stop that good player playing because we have some other players, right? We want to create a team of all-stars. So you kind of always, or this is how we treat ads, this is how we treat offers. We're testing out different things back here. They're in the training camp, and then the good ones make it to the team. But I don't stop the good people in the team just because someone else has come in. Yeah, sometimes you retire them.
That's such a good point, because so many people are just addicted to testing offers and trying new things. I've got clients right now, hopefully they don't listen, who they stopped doing things because they work too well. I swear to God. They're just like, oh, we rolled up this new, and I'm like, why? The well hasn't run dry. There's still enough audience. Like, we're scaling up. Why are you and they can't help themselves. They're like little crack addicts.
And the
Crack-a-lack
crack-a-lackers. And the amount of
addicts.
times, even when I used to do it more, like when we did more consulting and not so much the agency, and my first question is, what used to work? And they'd go, blah. And I'm like, why don't we do blah anymore? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, that will be $20,000.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So well,
we got shiny
shiny
object syndrome. That's all it is, right? It's like, well, let's just turn that thing back on. And then they're like, oh,
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, okay. Mary Poppins out.
We turned it off because it was working so well.
Exactly.
It's crazy. I would say a caveat to the answer to that question and to buttress that answer is that I think if there is constantly new people coming into your market that have never seen your offer, like for example, we have a client that has is in the ADHD space, ADD space, and they're constantly having like new moms are constantly cycling into that like 12 to 15 demographic or 8 to 12 demographic. Like they're constantly coming in. Like newborn mothers is another one, another client that we have. It's like constantly, like they're not the same. They only need it for this like 8-9 month period of time. And then a whole new market comes in. You can have an offer that just crushes for years and years because it's constantly being refreshed. Whereas, you know, if it's a real estate investing offer and you're targeting real estate investing on Facebook or Meta, at a certain point, you're going to penetrate that market with that offer. And I think it has it has a shorter lifespan, at least in my experience. That's not to say that new real estate investors aren't coming into the market all the time, but it's not as like drastic. So I think it lends itself in a lot of ways to search-based traffic. This is the reason why I think, you know, Google is a little bit more on the side of, I'm not going to say it's like set it and forget it, but, you know, we do have campaigns that we haven't touched in quite some time. Custom does as well on the Solutions 8 side, where that never happens on Meta, like rarely, if ever. Would you agree with that logic?
Yeah, I like the way that you answered it. That's the new way I'll answer it. Thank you. That was good.
I will steal that from you.
That is mine now. That was a... That is mine.
Yours.
Yes, thank you, Granddaddy.
Yep.
I will pass that down the lineage. Very good.
Yeah. Now we have to see someone Alicia discovers.
It's just, you know, there's some unknown person out there. It's going to happen.
Just waiting.
And I'm like, gather around.
This has been tremendous.
Okay, yes, carry on. Gather around, learn about your lineage.
Let me tell you, there was a time when I went on perpetual traffic way back in 24. Let me tell you. So where can people get in touch with you? Where's the best place to connect?
So the best place is if you want to check out our website, that's persuasionexperience.com. I know there's a lot of letters in there. It's annoying, but you'll figure it out. And then my name, which also has a lot of letters, Alicia Conlin-Hurd. I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. And if you ever have any questions or you want to send me a landing page and you want me to tell you everything wrong with it, feel free. I love it. It's my favorite activity. Let's do it.
All right.
She will hurt your feelings.
I will call your baby ugly, just so you're very ready.
Yeah,
that's right.
She'll smack that baby. There's it.
That's right. That's right. You're still hurting from that smackdown before. We will leave links in the show notes for all of that. If you don't know how to spell persuasion, chances are you probably don't. If you've been listening to the show for any period of time, we'll make sure that those links are there so you can connect with Alicia. This has been absolutely amazing. And I think, like I said, like this is such an important part of what drives business. And I think it's almost the most overlooked. I think you've given a lot of great insights here and some great examples. So I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Speaking of examples, I went down the rabbit hole of your case studies on your site, how we did it. And so if you do head over to persuasionexperience.com, like make sure to check out the case studies because they're awesome. Like you guys did a really good job with your case studies. Yeah, I full on rabbit hole. Like it's just, there's a bunch there to just dig into. It's pretty cool stuff.
So make sure that you do follow us and subscribe and leave a rating wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever that might be. And as I had stated earlier, if you weren't watching this on our YouTube channel, I highly recommend that you head on over there and check out the examples that we talked about. That, of course, is at perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. Follow me, Ralph Burns, on LinkedIn, and Qasim on the Twitters and other socials at Qasim Aslam. Go back and listen to previous episodes, and all resources and show notes and how you can connect with Alicia will be over at perpetualtraffic.com. So on behalf of my awesome co-host, Qasim Aslam,
Peace.
till next show, see ya.